I think a lot of times when we talk about housing, one of the objections we hear is, well, we don't have enough infrastructure to support that housing. And so don't build the housing until we perfect the infrastructure. That is, it's one of the most common arguments you hear, and it is an argument that is not, I don't think is valid at all. Because first of all, unless you are building a planned community from scratch, you're never going to build infrastructure and housing at exactly the same time. And the idea that we're not going to add housing until we just make everything perfect on infrastructure, that means you're never going to build any housing. And the reality is people are living here. They're just living in overcrowded situations, or they're homeless, or they're commuting more than they should. And so when you build the housing, the infrastructure will follow because you build political support for it.
So, and another thing that's important is you need to realize all these resources are dependent on each other. So when we talk about transportation financing, some of that transportation financing actually touches on our water projects. So if we plan that transportation in a wise way, some of those dollars can be spent on type of infrastructure that can impact our storage, our water supply. Give you an example, you know, we have built often around building these impervious areas that does not allow for water to percolate and recharge our groundwater, right? And a lot of that has been around urban development, transportation. Now we are moving toward, like a lot of these cities, that newer development and newer cities, there's a lot of focus on green infrastructure. If you are planning a road or a highway or anything, you want to make sure you preserve the green spaces around it, or actually build a specific kind of a green space that works as an infrastructure. So that kind of money actually not only improves your transportation opportunities, it also impacts your water supply in a different way, so as when you do housing development.
In the last 2 decades alone, we have taken formal support positions on more than 300 affordable home developments that overwhelmingly, by the way, aren't even for our constituent workforce of technology workers. They're for the infrastructure workers that are so critical that when I walk into Starbucks and I turn in my dry cleaners, we need those folks in our communities, let alone teachers and firefighters and peace officers and others. But we've got to be there for them. And I got to tell you, when we're supporting something, it's not, oh, we sent in a letter. We go to those planning commissions and town and city council meetings till 1, 2, 3 in the morning. I've been followed out to my car with death threats. That was from my mom. I've had female staffers on my team followed into women restrooms to be screamed at by folks. But we've got to be as courageous as Senator Wiener and the 20 local elected leaders who just stood up if we expect them to cast those tough votes. And that's why we focus on specific home developments as well as policy, as well as programs like the Silicon Valley Housing Trust that we formed 20 years ago. So we can be creative and innovative, but we have to match creativity and innovation with courage.